Chairman Jordan.
Mr. Newman, did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
I think the stats show no. I mean, we've got a non-detained...
That whole conversation just took place sounded like a bunch of nonsense to me.
Yeah, same.
Certainly 77 million Americans don't believe what they just heard from Mr. Raskin and the Democrat witness. Ms. Vaughn, did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, the Biden administration dismantled the controls, guardrails, limits, and turned programs into purposes for which they were never intended.
Every community on the border knows they did it. Yeah, we just had a 5-minute conversation. Oh, well, things are just wonderful. Joe Biden was the greatest. Mr. Fabricatore, you've been out on the front lines. You've dealt with this. Did the Biden administration improve the immigration system and border security?
No, we have more illegal alien criminals on the street today because of the Biden administration.
Yeah, they're trying to say, don't believe your lying eyes. Of course we know it's gotten worse. Earlier, Mr. Newman, you said, I think you said, the Biden administration invited the crisis. I think you're being nice when you use the word invited. I think they intentionally, deliberately, what's my opening statement, willfully created the crisis. And I want to know, why would they do that? Why would an administration deliberately create the chaos we have seen? Upwards of 10 million people coming in the country. These border communities, it's interesting, these border communities, that's been the biggest change in voting Democrat to voting Republican has taken place in those communities because they have felt it firsthand. We were in Yuma, Mr. Biggs brought this up, we were in Yuma, Arizona. The cost to the education system, the healthcare system, the public services in those communities, unbelievable. So why would they intentionally, why would they do this? That's what I've been trying to figure out. Why would an administration say we're going to deliberately create the chaos that 77 million Americans, I think all Americans know, has taken place over the last
Good evening. In a tense House Judiciary Committee hearing, Chairman Jim Jordan directly challenged witnesses on whether the Biden administration improved immigration system and border security. The unanimous response was clear and damning, no. The administration dismantled existing controls, released record numbers of illegal aliens, including criminals, into American communities, and turned enforcement programs into open gateways never intended for mass entry. What unfolded was not debate, but demolition of official narratives.
I can't pretend to know the motive of the administration, but what
I'm asking you to hazard a guess as an expert in this area.
Looking at what they've done and looking at the policies, what's very clear is that there's been an intentional desire to get as many people into the country as possible and keep them here.
Ms. Vaughn, can you take a run at that question? Why would they do it? I think all kinds of Americans ask that question. Why would our government do this to our nation?
Because they don't want any limits on immigration and because no one could stop them.
Mr. Fabricatore?
There was a definite open border agenda at the last 4 years, and that is exactly the way that I see it.
You think there's, again, hazard a guess at the motivation. What do you think the motivation is?
You know, it's hard to guess at allowing so many illegal aliens to enter into the United States. It's something that when you actually look at it and you look at the numbers, it's unfathomable to even think that many people were allowed, the gotaways, the 2 million gotaways that were allowed in this country, that we have no idea who they are. To me, I have no idea why they would allow that to happen.
I don't get it either, particularly when you think about what happens to kids on this journey when they come to the country, what happens to women, the terrible things that take. I don't get it. And for them to try to say it was wonderful and it was an improvement, I don't get that either, because nobody believes that. I think earlier the ranking member said the asylum system was overwhelmed during the Biden administration. Why was it overwhelmed? Because they just opened everything up. No wall, no way, remain in Mexico. And when you get here, as you pointed out in your testimony, Mr. Fabricatore, you won't be detained, you'll be released. Now, what do we have to do to fix it? Mr. Fabricatore, a guy who's on the front lines, what do we have to do to fix it?
Number one, we need to make sure that we're giving the money to, especially enforcement removal operations, to go out and detain, arrest, detain, and remove illegal aliens. That's the bottom line of what we have to do. We have to say, this is a situation that we have. We need to put money toward this so that we can be effective.
Once you start repatriating, once you start removing individuals who came here illegally, that's going to send a message. That's going to create an incentive I think in the right way. Because right now all the incentives are the wrong way.
Yes.
No wall, no wait, and you won't be detained, everyone comes. So you got to change those incentives. That will start to do that.
It absolutely will. Letting the men and women know of ICE, of ERO, that they have your backing and they can go out on the street and actually enforce the immigration law. That's all that they're asking to do. That's what President Trump wants to do.
Yep.
He wants to make sure that we go out and the immigration law is actually enforced.
15 seconds, Mr. Newman. I'll give you the last 15.
Yeah, but it's that. You have to fund the resources for ICE to get the job done. You have to show to people in this country illegally that you could be caught and you could be sent home.
Well, this committee is committed to helping the administration have the resources to enforce the law and fix the problem. I yield back to the chair.
Chairman Jordan pressed the core question that millions of Americans have asked for years: did the Biden administration improve border security? The witnesses, experienced voices from the front lines and policy experts, delivered a resounding rejection. They testified that the administration deliberately removed guardrails, ended Remain in Mexico, halted wall construction, and shifted programs toward mass release rather than removal. The result? Over 10 million encounters, millions released into the interior, and an estimated 2 million gotaways whose identities remain unknown. Why would any administration pursue such policies? Witnesses described an intentional open border agenda designed to maximize entries and minimize removals. One expert noted the clear desire to bring as many people into the country as possible and keep them here. Another highlighted how border communities, once Democratic strongholds, flipped Republican because residents experienced the chaos firsthand: overwhelmed schools, strained hospitals, and rising public service costs in places like Yuma, Arizona. The hearing exposed the human cost as well. Women and children suffered unimaginable dangers on the journey, while criminal illegal aliens were released onto U.S. streets. Democrats attempted to defend the record with bureaucratic jargon, but the facts were undeniable: no wall, no detention, no consequences created the wrong incentives. Everyone came because the system signaled they could stay. This was not incompetence alone. It reflected a deeper ideological commitment to unlimited immigration without limits or accountability. The asylum system collapsed under deliberate overload. Frontline enforcers were sidelined while resources flowed toward release rather than removal operations. The contrast today is stark. Under the current administration, border encounters have plummeted dramatically, releases have reached zero in multiple months, and enforcement has been restored. The hearing served as a powerful retrospective, showing exactly how policies were reversed and why the previous approach produced chaos. Chairman Jordan connected the dots. From dismantled controls to community impacts to national security risks. The testimony laid bare how incentives were flipped, trust eroded, and the rule of law undermined, until accountability began to return. Americans watched as excuses crumbled against cold statistics and eyewitness accounts. The motive? A vision of immigration without boundaries, even at the expense of public safety, fiscal responsibility, and the very communities bearing the burden. The hearing did not just question the past, it illuminated why restoring enforcement was essential and how quickly real change can occur when the law is finally applied. If this video gave you a new perspective, then you're in the right place. Here, we don't just talk about the headlines, we break down the real analysis behind them. Because understanding a country's political processes is the responsibility of every citizen. Remember, justice exists only as long as the people stand for it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.